the Massachusetts Institute of Technology is home to some of the world's greatest minds. MIT researchers are on the forefront of innovation, including the development of wireless transmission of power. Efficient wireless transmission of electricity has eluded scientists for years. Radio waves, microwaves, and even laser beam transmission of power have fallen short. But in 2007, MIT researchers were able to safely transmit power wirelessly 7 feet across a room. A feat heralded as a first step to cutting the power cord. Incredibly, a world in which all electrical devices would be automatically powered at all times, requiring no charging or wires, was envisioned more than a century earlier by inventor Nikola Tesla. And by some accounts, he was close to actually achieving that goal.
The ideas of Tesla for wireless power have only been briefly investigated by various scientists. And the tests that were done by Tesla in 1899 to 1900 in Colorado Springs verified the fact that the use of wireless was actually possible.
Tesla went out to Colorado Springs to see if he could send electricity miles, which is a tremendous achievement. But he had a huge tower, and there was 200 feet to the top. His assistant was located at the laboratory, and Tesla said, when I give you the signal, I want you to throw the switch and fire up the wireless system. And Tesla probably walked 4 miles away.
Tesla inserted light bulbs into the earth to see if his tower was in fact creating a wireless circuit with the ground. If so, the bulbs would light up.
These light bulbs were being lit. So he was able to establish that he could transmit electrical power over great distances. But he did keep it a secret. He even kept the mechanics a secret from his assistant, who didn't totally know all the details of what he was doing.
Shoreham, New York, 1901. Tesla convinces banker J.P. Morgan to give him $150,000 for the construction of a radio station. But instead, he uses the money to build a giant wireless transmitter he calls Wardenclyffe Tower.
Wardenclyffe was 187 feet to the top, but it also went 120 feet down into the ground. And Tesla had envisioned receiving stations which would look just like the Wardenclyffe Tower at different nodal points around the Earth. So you would jump energy by means of wireless from station to station. He even thought that he could eventually use the same system to jump power to different planets.
But Tesla's dream of creating a highly efficient broadcast of wireless electricity was cut short when in 1904, its funder, J.P. Morgan, discovered Tesla's true intentions: to provide free power to everyone on the planet. With lack of additional funding, by 1908, the project was completely abandoned. And in 1917, the tower was demolished.
No company, no corporation wants to give away its technology freely. So Tesla was shut down so that the world wouldn't have free energy.
But just how was Tesla able to transmit electricity wirelessly for several miles when modern scientists can only manage 7 feet? Tesla credited his many inventions to the ability to realize them entirely in his mind. He also described experiencing intense flashes of light, which were followed by moments of intense creativity and clarity.
He would see an invention appear before his eyes in almost holographic detail. He said that he could rotate these visions, take them apart piece by piece, and he knew exactly how he was going to build these inventions based on his visionary experiences.
One of his greatest creations is the rotating magnetic field, and that came in a flash of intuition. He felt that we were receivers, that all impulses came from the outside, and that we worked on these impulses. So he doesn't believe that they come from dreams or inner visions. He really felt that we were, in a sense, self-propelled robots.
Yeah, 2013. A Silicon Valley startup's all-electric sports car wins Motor Trend's Car of the Year. It's one of the most fuel-efficient vehicles on the planet, produces no emissions, and can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4 seconds. The Model S energizes the electric car industry and reintroduces its namesake to the world stage, Tesla.
And it's interesting to think, in 1931, Tesla told reporters that he had converted a Pierce Arrow car into a completely electric car. Tesla showed them the car. He drove it around. It went as fast as 90 miles per hour. When you look at it, many of the inventions that Tesla talked about and even patented were eventually developed.
The list of technologies that can be traced back to the drawing board of Nikola Tesla is endless. Modern humanoid robotics, solar and wind power, weather manipulation, drones, and even planetary exploration vehicles. Getting as little as just 2 hours of sleep per day, the inventor's sole purpose on Earth appeared to be geared toward one end: advancing technology for the future of the human race.
He always had his eye on the future. And further, he was trying to shape the future through his inventions.
Mr. Tesla was not unique in this. Many of the founders, leaders of religion also were compelled by inner experiences which pushed them to materialize these things in the world. So, in a religious context, we would say that a religious leader is in touch with something divine. In a scientific context, we wouldn't necessarily use the word divine, but yet, somehow, somewhere, people are being contacted, receiving communications, which are leading to the clear introduction of new things in humanity.
Tesla seemed to have this drive that put everything else by the wayside. When he was working on an invention, food, sleep, relationships, human interaction, none of that mattered. It's almost as if he was on some type of a mission possibly with a greater plan under the influence of extraterrestrials.
Was Nikola Tesla really inspired to invent by an extraterrestrial source, as some ancient astronaut theorists suggest? And if so, might further clues be found in what some believe to be the rantings of a madman? By the time Nikola Tesla moved into his final home, the Hotel New Yorker, in January 1934, he had become better known for his eccentricities than his inventions. He reportedly was an extreme germaphobe, preferred to work in almost complete darkness, and was also obsessed with the number 3.
Tesla was definitely interested in numerology, and he was very superstitious. He had to circle a building 3 times before he entered. He had calculated nodal points around the planet, and they're probably linked to the numbers 3, 6, and 9. And he said that the numbers were very important.
Nikola Tesla was quoted as saying, "If you knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe." If we go to the Great Pyramid of Giza, not only are there the 3 larger pyramids at Giza, all side by side, mirroring the positions of the stars in Orion's belt, but we also see a group of 3 smaller pyramids immediately away from the 3 larger pyramids, 3 and 3. Similarly, we find lots of evidence that nature uses threefold and sixfold symmetry, including the hexagonal tile shape of the common honeycomb. These shapes are in nature, and the ancients emulated these shapes in the building of their sacred architecture. So Tesla's quote is neatly mirrored in the actual archaeological evidence that we find in many ancient architectural sites around the world.
Could the numbers 3, 6, and 9 really offer clues to the inner workings of the universe? If so, is it possible that Tesla uncovered this profound secret and used this knowledge to push the boundaries of science and technology? Perhaps the answer can be found by examining Tesla's most controversial invention. New York City, July 1934. On his 78th birthday, Nikola Tesla makes headlines on the front page of the New York Times for his alleged death beam. According to the article, the weapon could generate enough energy to bring down a fleet of 10,000 enemy airplanes as far as 250 miles away.
Tesla apparently discovered that he could direct a stream of plasma plus solid particles for long distances through the air and kind of a directed lightning bolt. And he called this a death ray.
Tesla wanted to invent a machine that would knock out enemy aircraft in the air. You would point it to the skies, turn it on, and all of a sudden those planes would just fall like that.
Tesla felt that if every country had a particle beam weapon, then no country would ever be invaded because planes would be shot down and ships would be sunk. So he was trying to sell this particle beam weapon to the U.S. government during World War II. And I think Franklin Roosevelt was basically looking at two possibilities. Einstein was discussing the possibility of an atom bomb. Tesla was discussing the possibility of a particle beam weapon. And it turned out the atom bomb was able to be invented. And that's the way they went.
Although the death ray announcement failed to ignite interest by the U.S. War Department, some say other innovative work by Tesla did catch their attention. Earlier in his career, while conducting research with one of his transformer coils, Nikola Tesla had a near-death experience when he came in contact with a resonating electromagnetic charge of 3.5 million volts.
Tesla was working with 60-foot lightning bolts, and he made a mistake, and he almost got electrocuted, and he couldn't get out, and he had to get one of his workers to stop the lightning from happening, and he barely escaped with his life, and because of the shock that he had a revelation.
Tesla said that he entered a state of timelessness, and he could see the past and the future and the present all at one in this mystic vision. But he was paralyzed, and he couldn't do anything about it. Tesla was being essentially electrocuted, and right then his assistant cut the power to him. But what Tesla said it had done was moved him through time and space.
But is it really possible Tesla had found a way to break through the space-time continuum? Ancient astronaut theorists believe the answer might be found by looking at what has become known as the Philadelphia experiment. According to reports, right before Tesla's death, he was working with Albert Einstein and the United States Navy at the Philadelphia Naval Yard to create an electromagnetically charged invisibility cloak for the USS Eldridge.
They were attempting to do a stealth technology. And apparently they mounted a bunch of Tesla coils to make a bunch of plasma around a ship. And this is well known to help hide things from radar. But something very unexpected happened. The ship didn't just disappear from radar, it just disappeared completely.